Welcome back to another episode of the FallBall Fellas. We're absent Phil again today. He is down bad, sick after the whiteout weekend. I feel like both of us were feeling pretty gross after that too. It was just a long weekend. We were feeling pretty disgusting after the game as well. But to get us started today, I'm going to do this every week moving forward. We're going to do a top 25 blitz. It is just going to be me going over what happened in the top 25 the past week. If there's like a 24 that beats an unranked team, probably not going to mention that in this, but does have some relevance. So Friday night, we had Virginia upset Florida State in double overtime. I know me and Hunter hit a couple of over bets in that game, so we were happy about that. But Florida State did indeed fall, and they dropped 10 spots in this latest poll. We had TCU fall after a 17-0 start against Arizona State. Arizona State climbed back into the poll as TCU fell out this past week. Ohio State handled its business against Washington at Husky Stadium. Looked solid. Defense looks pristine. We had Bama holding on against Georgia in a high-scoring first half, and then neither team really did anything after the break. Bama holds on, wins 24-21. I believe their second or third straight win against Georgia. We had Ole Miss impress against LSU. LSU's offense looks like a shell of itself. They also dropped tremendously, and Ole Miss propelled itself up into the top 5 at number 4 this week. We had Tennessee get lucky at the end of that game. It was a flag fest. There was about 30 penalties during the course of the game, so not really any flow whatsoever in that. But Tennessee did prevail in overtime against Mississippi State in a pretty awesome game. We had Georgia Tech, who won in overtime as well. Surprise kind of game. They can't win anything or cover any spread. Wake Forest failed to get the 2-point conversion in overtime and fell in that game. Illinois kicked a game-winning field goal against USC. That was when we all were expecting USC to come clean in that one. Did not realize how beat up and injured their roster was coming into the game, and our predictions were on Monday or Tuesday. Injury report came out, and it looked really bad. Nonetheless, Illinois, coming off a disaster loss against Indiana, was able to get back in the win column and kind of move up in that poll, gain some more respect. So good for the Illini. Notre Dame, kind of as expected, I think, for most of us, except for maybe Phil, I guess. Absolutely dominated Arkansas, and Arkansas subsequently fired their coach in a day or two after this result. So Notre Dame kind of looks to be back. They know they have to win every game by like 50 at this point in order to gain respect and get back into the college football playoff conversation. And like I said, we had Arizona State come back into the top 25 after moving out of it a couple of weeks ago. Virginia moves in for the first time this season. Both USC and TCU sitting in that bottom 3 spots moved out of the top 25. So that's most of the movement that we have here. Now, I do want to talk, were you able to get any eyes on that Georgia-Alabama game? I know we were literally watching the Penn State game at the bar, and they didn't have that game on. Did you see any replays, highlights, stuff like that?
No, I didn't get to see any like replays or highlights, but I kind of kept track of the game as it was going on my phone, so I was able to kind of keep track of a little bit of it.
Okay. Yeah, that game was really good. So for the second straight year, Alabama under DeBoer, came out really hot in the first half, scoring all 24 of their points. And then their defense just were able to hold up. Did you see the screen pass, the wide receiver screen they threw out to the offensive tackle?
I take it back. I did see one play. Yeah, a 365-pound lineman catching a screen pass. Feels like a Lions offense type of move right there.
Literally.
But that set them up for a crucial touchdown.
Yeah. So Caden Proctor's the dude's name. Big old tackle. He looked really nimble in that too, and I feel bad for every Georgia guy that tried to make the tackle there. Just a big man to try to stop. Like I said, outside of that first half, the second half was a little bit boring. Georgia couldn't capitalize. Both teams dropped massive touchdown passes. Ryan Williams dropped a wide open pass for an easy score. And then I can't remember the Georgia wide receiver that was running through the seam, dropped an easy touchdown as well. So there should have been more points in this game. Any overbetters, I do feel bad for you there. But nonetheless, Alabama is victorious, and they moved up pretty high into the rankings this week as well, still outside of that top 10.
Yeah.
Now let's get into Oregon Penn State. You want to stay there for a sec?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting that they both kind of came at it with two different approaches, right? Like Bama came in with the passing game was their main goal. I mean, Ty Simpson put on a nice show, I will say. Two passing and a rushing touchdown. And then you flip to the other side, and Georgia's all running. That's all it was, 227 yards. I mean, two completely different play styles, and it kind of showed to the same. I mean, it was only 24-21. Georgia really could have won it if they made that fourth down attempt late in the fourth. But I mean, Bama coming up with that huge stop. I believe they were on like their 10-yard line. I don't remember exactly where they were at, but that was a huge stop for Alabama to seal the win and kind of milk out the clock at the end.
Yeah, no, and I do like how you noted that, because Georgia really hasn't had a running game for quite a few years. They haven't dominated the line of scrimmage like normal, and that was all they had going for in this game. Gunnar Stockton only ended up with, and I have the stats on me right now, 130 yards on 20 attempts, so just over 6 an attempt. Not a good game from him. Alabama's corners did play really sticky coverage, and like I said, there were quite a few drops on both sides, or else these numbers would have been better. But hey, Alabama, Georgia, it's a primetime matchup. I don't think the game came as close to being as exciting as this Penn State Oregon game. And this game really didn't get exciting until the fourth quarter. So I know we can get into all of the Franklin stuff later. Let's talk about the game itself. Hunter, what did you see from both teams in, let's just say, a prep work coming into this game, and how did it translate for the first 45 minutes before everything kind of turned on its head?
Honestly, this is a very, I don't even want to say, like, it was definitely a defensive game the first half, honestly, the first three quarters. But I don't even want to say it was all defensive. I think it was just also bad offensive play, kind of the first three quarters. I wasn't loving the play calling from either team. Penn State was trying to get the run game going. Their offensive line was just getting absolutely destroyed. Katron Allen could not get anything going like he normally does. And I really think that hindered Penn State's momentum. I mean, they rely heavily on that. We are not a pass first offense. We do not let kind of Drew Aller work. And so not being able to get that run offense going really, really killed Penn State. And I think that was a huge loss for them.
Do you think the season's over?
When you say season over, let me clarify here. Yes and no. So I think we still have a chance of playoffs. We kind of discussed this a little bit in the beginning. If we make playoffs, I don't think we'll go anywhere. I think that if we make playoffs, we'll probably lose right away. I don't know who will play right off the bat, but losing this game honestly makes me scared of Indiana. I mean, I was already a little nervous about Indiana, and now we put up 3 points going into the fourth quarter against Oregon, and Indiana's got a scary defense. I mean, what are we going to be able to do against them if we can only put up 3 against Oregon, who has a good defense, but I still think Indiana's got a stronger defense. So it's got me a little worried for Penn State's rest of the year. I think, like I said, I think we can make playoffs, but I don't think we go anywhere.
Okay. And I do like how you brought up Indiana. They actually struggled a bit in their game against Iowa this past weekend, only winning by a touchdown, because they did that weird safety play with 2 seconds left on fourth down where he just ran out the back of the end zone. And some people got that line at 6.5, so they got they lost it on running out the back of the end zone. The one thing I will say that you just brought up, I would really like to see this matchup in 2 weeks and we will actually get to see both of these teams play. Oregon will host Indiana in 2 weeks on October 11th. So we will be able to see firsthand how these two teams match up before Penn State plays. Now, I'm going to say Illinois is a tier below teams like Penn State, maybe even 2 tiers below teams like Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, and maybe Indiana. Now, Indiana did struggle against good teams last year. They do seem to be playing better this season. I think their quarterback's a bit better, and they have dominated the lines of scrimmage. So I am really looking forward to that Indiana game. I really hope Indiana also continues to win. If they lose to Oregon, I want them to keep it close. James Franklin may have the opportunity for 2 more top 10 games. Now, I have more faith in us winning Indiana at home than I do Ohio State away. But I don't know how I feel about this all, man. Like, Oregon came in with a phenomenal game plan to confuse our offense, and Jim Knowles on our defensive side of the ball came in with an awesome game plan to slow down Oregon. I think the problem is that Oregon had both halves clicking, even in a game that was tied 3-3 at half. Oregon was still moving the ball offensively. Penn State went 3 and out on 3 or 4 drives in that first half. It's impossible to keep the chains moving when every single time you're trying to run the ball, you're only getting 1 to 2 yards. You're left in a 3rd and long every time. And Penn State's tackles, I really didn't worry too much about it coming into this game, but they had each allowed like 3 pressures in their first 3 games against Florida International, Villanova. And I was like, okay, they're learning how to stunt, do stuff like that. No, I just think the tackles are kind of a weak spot, and the center hasn't been playing great either. That offensive line was really a letdown, and the thing that I thought we were going to dominate in that game was the line of scrimmage. Their defensive line looked better. Their offensive line looked better. I just think owning the trenches was what that game came down to. Penn State couldn't play their game. Penn State's not a 3rd and long team. Penn State's a 3rd and 2 team, 3rd and 3 team, where you can rely on short, quick passes. Our offensive linemen couldn't hold up in long passing situations where our wide receivers had to run down the field and break into routes. It's just, once we realized that in the first quarter, though, and even at halftime, there were absolutely no adjustments made from that offensive side of the football until the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, we opened it up because we were down 4 scores, and this is exactly what happened in the Big Ten championship game. Penn State opened the game really slow. Oregon, thankfully, took a 2-score lead very early in that game, and we switched to a pro-style offense, which is more indicative of our skill set and of Penn State's skill set as a team. We are not an RPO gimmick offense. You need a quarterback, and I will say, like Bo Pribula, I don't think he's nearly as good of a thrower of the football, but to run an RPO-style offense that succeeds in college, you need a quarterback that you are worried of running the football, because then that opens up passing lanes. When you're not worried about Drew Allar running the football on a read option, they can defend the pass. And their defensive line was eating our O-line, and we couldn't get anything moving. Continue with what you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about owning the trenches, and we've talked about this a ton on this podcast. Owning the trenches is the key to winning a game. I mean, you'll see flukes where teams will win if they aren't owning the trenches. But, I mean, when you're losing the trenches on both sides of the ball, you're destined to lose a close game. A close game always comes down to the trenches. And like we were just talking about, I mean, Penn State is a run-first offense. If you cannot get the ball moving and you're losing on those rushes, you're never going to get the pass game going if you do not change up your scheme calling. And like you said, we didn't change up anything coming into the second half, which was just a major mistake coaching-wise. I mean, it was atrocious. I think a lot of this game comes down to our coaches, and we're going to get right into it right now, and I really want to hear Noah say it. Fire James Franklin, for the love of Christ. He is not worth the $50 million we save. He's not worth it at all. He's like 2-25 against top 10 teams in his career at Penn State. If we want to win something, we can't be 2-25 against top 10 teams, the teams that we need to beat. Cool, you can blow out FIU. Congratulations. If you can't beat Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, like if you're not winning these games, at least 1 or 2 of them a year, you're useless. It's not, there's no value to us blowing out crap teams that we pay $1 million to come play us so that we can look good. It gets us nowhere. Maybe it gets us to the playoff spot every year because they opened it up, and we'll just lose again in the first round of playoffs. I'm so tired. I'm so sick and tired of James Franklin, and people have been defending him time and time again. I've been saying this for the last 5 years to fire James Franklin, and then we re-signed him, and my heart broke. My heart broke when we re-signed this man, and people were still defending him. Look what just happened. You brought up we haven't lost the whiteout in 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. We just lost one.
We throw one decent team into the whiteout. Guess what? We lose. It's over.
Okay, to be fair, we did beat Michigan one of those years. So
Michigan in their bad year.
No, Michigan was still a top 25 team when we beat them. All right.
Yeah, they probably weren't top 10.
So this is the mindset, and I will literally speak. You have their jersey on right now. This is kind of a Philly fan mindset of, well, it's not even Philly fan. It's just common day sports with every type of fan. There's a win now mentality. And quite frankly, that was what Penn State's mentality coming into this season was a win now because we are returning so much from last season. Us and Clemson were supposed to be the good teams because we were returning so much, and look at Clemson. They're a dumpster fire waiting to happen. Actually, they've already happened, and they are a dumpster fire. Now, I think Penn State's a lot more talented. We do have a lot more winnable games on our schedule, and quite frankly, we should go 10-2. 9-3 is the worst we should go. James Franklin's been really good at going 9-3 or 10-2 because we play exactly to our recruiting level. We play exactly to what is expected of us. And what is expected of us is the goal, like what bar he has set. He has never surpassed that bar. And that's the problem is he set, I'd say, a pretty high bar for Penn State in terms of making a New Year's Six Bowl every year, getting 10 wins. Most teams would beg for that every single season, and we do get that. But at the end of the day, with the history that Penn State has, we need to eventually break through there. And I will say, if we don't make the playoffs, I will say that. If we lose to Ohio State and we don't make the playoffs, I will be fully calling for James Franklin. This is one of the best teams he's had, and we are underperforming. I don't think the Kotelnicki hire was good for what we had. Allard was actually better his first season playing for Penn State because we played an entirely different style offense. He played free. He was a gunner. He was throwing. He only had like 2 interceptions his first season to like 24 to 25 touchdowns. And now the dude's scared to throw a football because we don't let him throw the football ever. What I want to see right now is this coaching staff shift their mentality. We need to shift from their RPO, just dinking and dunking, to finally using the wide receivers we spent millions of dollars on in the offseason. Kyron Hudson had 0 catches that game. All right, 0 catches. Now, I like I said, I'm blaming our offensive line for a lot of Allar's struggles in that game, but he could have made a couple more throws. Let's be honest. That interception, he lobs out a little bit better. That was a great play by the defense. I watched a breakdown of the play. Kotelnicki called that same scheme 4 times in the second half. Eventually, they were going to catch on. He locked onto his first target. It was open at first, and the safety drifted back and picked it off. It was a great defensive read. Could he have lofted the ball a little bit more? Yeah, but he was also leading him into a hit. So why are we – if we were dominating that line of scrimmage the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter and in overtime, why are we throwing the ball in the first play? So that's that right there. Allard doesn't call the plays. Franklin's probably calling plays in that situation with Kotelnicki. I also had heard the thing of going for 2 at the end of the game. And this is where, as like an analytics guy, the golden rule that they talk about is if you're at home and you have a chance to tie a game and gain momentum to go into overtime, you take it because you have the home crowd behind you. If you're the away team, you always go for 2 because every chance that you go deeper into that game, the fans get more and more electric. Franklin has made a habit of taking the safe choice. In my opinion, I would have been happier, and I've thought about this a lot today, with him taking that risk because he has not shown to take risks before in his career. I would have been fine losing that game if we went out and tried to go for 2 because at least we showed like we had balls. We play like our balls got chopped off before the game. We don't play hard. The offense doesn't look like it's having fun.
It's a show of the awful, like, he clearly doesn't have trust. And I don't know if it's his offense or I don't even think it's his offense. I think it's his play calling and his coach's play calling. You have a team built like that when you need 2 yards to get a 2-point conversion, 3 yards. What is it?
I think we could have gotten that though.
Is it 1 or 2 yards?
It's 2 yards. Katron could have ran that ball in.
That's what I'm saying. You design a scheme to get 2 blockers in front of Katron Allen to the outside, some sort of trick play. Don't run some basic up the middle type crap.
I would have been fine at that point to run up the middle because their defense was on the field the entire fourth quarter. They were gassed. We were owning the line of scrimmage the last bit of that game.
I'm not super upset that he chose to go for the extra point. I'm not crazy upset about that. I mean, we were showing some potential in OT.
But also, would that would have been a change though? That would have been at least showing.
If you were letting me finish, I was going to say I agree. I think we need to start showing some more balls a little bit. I think we need to see that, we can make the tough calls. We can come out and actually go for it on 4th down, go for it on the goal line for 2. We don't do that. We never do that. Like you said, we always play it safe. But I'm so
we also punted. Did you see the punt? The punt at their 35-yard line that we took?
Yeah.
and we netted 13 yards. Like, our kicker has been nails this year. And instead of attempting a 53-yarder, we punt the ball. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Just go for it at that point.
Yeah, they're already on. Yeah,
we netted 13 yards. If you're not going to kick the field goal, go for it. But
yeah, no, I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
Do you think we make the playoffs?
I already said yeah. I think it's like I think there's. If you asked me this last weekend, I would have said a 95% chance. I think my percentage has dropped down to probably closer to 75%.
I'm down below
80%.
50 at this point because until I see something different from the offense, I don't have faith in us beating Indiana because of how good their offensive and defensive lines look.
If we're gonna have to completely change our mindset, we need to let, like you've been saying, and I've been kind of disagreeing with, but I after watching some film, like we need to let Aller sling the ball. I was a big believer. I agree. I think that Bo is a much better QB for this system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very similar system to like what the Ravens run, to what the Eagles run. But guess what? You have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds that can bully people, or you have Lamar Jackson who can just out scramble anyone in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields maybe and Kyler Murray could be a little bit in that conversation, but you know what I'm saying? Like Aller is not that. Aller is a Justin Herbert. Aller is meant to stay in the pocket.
He can move when need be, though.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. He actually extended a lot of plays with his legs. Yes, exactly. He did it because he was running for his life, not because it was actually designed for him. And
all right, let's move on from Penn State. I'm getting upset right now.
I want to say one more thing on the Penn State. What I want to see from them to gain faith and think that we can beat a team like Indiana or even Ohio State, because I do think the landscape of college right now, we are actually more close to Ohio State than we think. And that game will be a one-possession game regardless of what we change. What I want to see is I want to take the top off against UCLA. They are an 0-4 team. They have lost to some horrendous teams. They play a lot of man right now. What I want to see is Aller drop back 40 to 45 times between quarters 1 and 3. I want to run the ball a little bit, maybe one play out of every 4 I want to run, but every time I want to let him drop back. I want to let him build some rapport with his wide receivers. He has not thrown for 250 in a game since USC last year, and he is way too talented, and I will say, way too talented of a quarterback to not throw for 250 in a single game. And it is all the scheme. And that's what I'm telling you. You have bums for Rice throwing for 250. All right? He can throw for 250. Let's let a 6'5" guy with a strong arm throw the football. Okay? That was where I was going to end it. I need to see them start incorporating his arm and his skill set into the offense instead of trying to make him fit an offense that he doesn't have the skill set for. So we're going to get into Phil's team of destiny. He is not here. We only switched teams of destiny since his initial team lost. Vanderbilt won, and Vanderbilt has a huge test this weekend coming up against Alabama. We will get into that for our FallBall Five, but the Vanderbilt Commodores are still Phil's team of destiny. He is not here. I'm not going to add the music yet or anything like that. So I know I said that last week. I want everyone here so that we can actually get cool intros into our segments. But we are going to now get into our FallBall Five. All right, we're going to do the same thing we always do. Start highest spreads, go lowest spreads. First, we have a look at last week and the season total. I am 18-12, going 2-3 this past weekend. I picked up wins on Alabama, who no one else picked, and I believe Iowa State. So I lost the other 3. Penn State kind of put all of us in the dirt, but got a 2-game lead. Hunter, a little bit of a rough week for him, 1-4. He is now 16-14 overall. And Phil actually gained a game on Hunter, going 2-3. He is now 15-15 overall. We are reaching near the halfway point of the season. Not quite there, but I hold a 2-game lead. All right, now to get into our FallBall Five. We are going to start with that very same Vanderbilt at Alabama game. Upset of the year. We were literally at Phil's wedding when I told everyone everyone in the crowd that Alabama lost, and everyone started cheering, and then Tennessee lost that night to Arkansas. So it was kind of an up and down night. But who do you got in this Vanderbilt at Tuscaloosa game? Alabama enters 10.5 point favorites.
See, I went against Bama against Georgia, and I got screwed. I really want to pick Vandy here. My heart wants to pick Vandy. I think that their offenses look great. I think they could really run the ball, and I don't think Alabama could stop their run offense.
Yeah, if they couldn't stop Georgia.
But it's the exact opposite with Bama and Bama's offense and Vandy's defense. Like Bama's passing offense looks great, and Vandy's pass defense looks awful. So I don't know where to go with this one. I went against them last week. I can't go against them again. I gotta take Bama. I have to take them. I would love to take Vandy, Phil. I know they're your team, but I want Bama.
Yeah. And since I got bit by this last week, I'm literally going to do the same play again. I am taking Alabama. I love the over in this game because I don't think Alabama can stop Vandy's rush at all. Pavia is an absolute freak at QB. They're going to run all over Bama, but I do just think Bama has just a few more dudes on that roster, and they did just play and beat Georgia, and now they're playing at home. So give me Bama. I think it's probably like a 1-2 score game, but Vandy's going to make it interesting for a little while. They won't get blown out like they used to. Phil is on Vanderbilt. So
I don't blame him. I really don't.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
it's his team of destiny. He has to stick with it,
my heart wanted to take him.
Yeah. All right, we got Texas and an Arch Manning that may or may not have found his groove yet. Had a bye week. 7-point favorites going down to Tallahassee, Tallahassee, Florida State, going down to Gainesville. We have a Tallahassee game later in. But who do you got in this game?
I'm taking Texas here. I think Arch Manning is finally starting to find his rhythm. I'm still not putting him up there yet, but I am gaining more faith in him. He's looking a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He's been able to kind of get out and get some space, get some yards on the ground. And Texas defense, I think, is just too strong for Florida. I don't think that Florida comes away with this. I don't think DJ Lagway can tear up their defense like some of the teams he's seen this year so far. And I don't think Florida's defense is going to stop Texas. I'm taking Texas. I think this is probably a 2-score game.
We're going matchup advantages here and just looking straight across the board. Florida has an awesome defense and a terrible offense. Texas has a better defense and a average offense, I'd say. I'm not going to say bad. But Texas is going to win this football game. All of us have Texas in this, so I honestly feel pretty confident that -7. I think Florida's one bad loss away from firing their head coach. So this might be, as we talked about last episode, putting Florida on quit watch. Their defense plays so hard for Lagway to throw 5 picks a game. They're going to stop trying one of these games. All right, next game. This one was kind of just tossed in. There's not, just like this past week, or not like this past weekend, we don't have a lot of huge primetime matchups. So we are going with Washington as a 6.5-point favorite going to College Park, Maryland. Kind of an interesting game. We're throwing this in there. Both teams have pretty good records coming into this, but who do we got winning here, Hunter?
Give me the Terps, baby. I was actually excited for this when I saw you put this in there. Maryland has been playing pretty well. Malik Washington, 8 touchdowns and 1 interception on the year. He has been having himself a great rookie season. I love rooting for rookies. I am partial to Maryland because that's where my girlfriend's family is from. So I have a little bit of a heart for Maryland. So I got to take Maryland in this game. I think it'll be a close one, and I think this is probably a 2 or 3 point game at the end, but I'm taking Maryland to pull it out.
All right. I'm going to take Washington here. I think they're going to come off a hard loss against Ohio State and show out those big 3 that they got with Denzel Boston. I was thinking of Washington while I was saying the name. Damon Williams, and then Jonah Coleman at running back. So give me Washington. They're going to come off a tough loss and beat Maryland in College Park. I just don't have faith in Maryland's defense at this point, but Malik Washington is electric. So I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game, entertaining to watch. We have 2 more left. The next one, we have Iowa State visiting Cincinnati here. 1.5-point favorite for Cincinnati. Iowa State's still undefeated right now, 5-0. What do you got?
I actually got Iowa State in this game. I think that all in all, they kind of are all-around better team than Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is probably a little bit better in the passing game and some explosive plays. I haven't seen that too much from Iowa State, but I think that Iowa State can really lean on the ground game and kind of dominate if they get that going. And I think that their defense, I think Iowa State's defense can kind of control the tempo of Cincinnati and really stop their explosive plays. Because I don't think if Cincinnati breaks out a couple like 60-yard throws, I think they win this game. But I think that Iowa State kind of stops it and forces Cincinnati to kind of play a little bit of more of a small ball. And I think that Iowa State wins that game.
And if you are looking for like just entertaining football to watch, it's not the best teams playing each other. Big 12 is a phenomenal conference to watch. Neither team really plays defense. And I'm not talking about these like in any Big 12 game. So go tune into one of those games if you are just like a casual watch the big games kind of guy. Go watch them. They're entertaining. Have games in the 30s and 40s all the time. I am going to go against both you and Phil here. I'm going to take Cincinnati. My only logic here is they're playing at home, and I liked what the offense looked like against Kansas last week, winning a pretty good game. So give me Cincinnati here. And our last game, and I saved this. It is not the smallest spread, but it is the biggest game. It is, I believe, the second game of ranked teams here. Miami going down to Tallahassee, as I misspoke earlier, as 4.5-point favorites. Florida State is coming off that loss to Virginia. What do we got here?
I love underdogs. Unfortunately, FSU's underdogs at home, which is always a little bit surprising. That shows you that the other team coming in obviously has some big momentum. But I think I'm going to have to take Miami here. I think Miami's just been pretty solid all season so far, and I think they've got a little bit more of the momentum coming in this game than FSU does. And I think that FSU's defense is going to struggle. I don't think they've been consistent at all. If FSU's defense could stay consistent and play to their potential, like we've seen a little bit this year, I think that they could win this game. But they haven't shown me that they can play that consistently all game, all 4 quarters. So I'm going to have to take Miami here.
Miami's defense has been one of the biggest surprises in college football this season. I'm going to roll with them. I don't think Florida State has answers for Carson Beck and what that Miami offense has to offer. This 4.5-point spread, I feel like should be right around a touchdown. So if you're kind of a person that likes putting stuff in earlier in the week to get some good line value, Miami's a play right now. Notre Dame was only a 4.5 points favorite, and they end up winning by like 40. So this is another game that I think could go south pretty quickly. All right. Hunter, give us a little recap of this past weekend in the NFL. We're going to be transitioning here, guys.
Well, I'm just going to start off with this is a fun weekend in NFL. I think a lot of good games. A couple injuries that kind of sucked. I guess I'll start with those. So Tyreek Hill down and out for the count for the year. Luckily, he's not going to need any surgery on it. They just came out and said. And he does plan on coming back next year, which I think shocks a couple people. A lot of people were kind of thinking that this was the end for him.
Wait, what? He's getting surgery? He already got it.
No, more surgery. Sorry, I should have clarified.
I was like, there's no way he didn't need a surgery there.
People were saying that he was going to need a couple surgeries, and he only needs one.
That was disgusting.
And he's good now. And then the other unfortunate injury is going to be Malik Neighbors, someone that had an amazing rookie season last year and was poised to have another great season, although the Giants were not giving him great play calls. But I think it's really time. People have been talking about this forever. MetLife Stadium needs new grass.
Yes,
everyone says it.
Yes.
Everyone gets injured there. They need to put the money in, and it's finally been one of the Giants' key big players. So maybe they'll kind of take that as oh shoot, we need to do it. But I know a ton of Eagles that have gotten injured there. Dallas players, Commanders players. Because we play there once a year. It's got to change. It's awful. Everyone in the NFL hates it. They need to do something about it. It's just atrocious, and it's time for it to go. What do you think about it?
Yes, I was talking to Julie about this, how it was like where Rodgers tore his Achilles a couple years ago. I also just think that the turf idea needs to go away in general. Grass is so much more safer. It's a better playing consistency for the player's foot. Yes, they might slip a tiny bit more if the grass is slick, But at the end of the day, the injury rates, I need to see them. Some person was trying to argue and tell me that turf was safer, and I'm like, I don't really know about that, guys. I was curious to know, do you know where Saquon tore his ACL at? Was it there?
That's a great question. It might have been there.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, while you look that up, I'll give a quick recap.
Soldier Field.
Okay.
Chicago.
So just a real quick recap of the game. Seahawks pull it out against the Cardinals 23-20. Jags win in a nail biter over the Niners, the team of injuries. So Jags pull it out 26-21. Rams Colts, good game. Rams, Stafford and Puka Nacua are just an absolute dominating force together. And so they pull it out 27-20 against the Colts.
Can I say something about that game?
Come on. Fill yourself in here.
A.D. Mitchell, bro. Oh, what a catch. What a spin. And then you could tell he wasn't trying to drop it early either. It was on the extension out. Dude, just hold on to the football and do that after you cross the end zone. Like, he does it. So, number one, he does that to put us up by like 14. And later in the game, when we are driving to go up by 7, mind you, he has the stupidest hold of all time. He's not even near the play. He literally goes behind it. It's almost like he's pulling the guy down by, like, if he had a sweatshirt on. Just, like, pulls him and, like, goes like this. And just pulls him down. And Jonathan Taylor scores a 55-yard touchdown on the play.
Yeah.
So he cost the Colts 14 points. And they punt the ball because of that hold. And then Matthew Stafford on the first play finds Tutu Atwell for, like, 75 yards. So, A.D. Mitchell, you lost us the game. Get better, please.
I think he definitely was a key factor in that loss. I don't think that's why you guys completely lost there. I think, the Rams offense is a tough team to kind of stop when they find momentum. But I will say I was very upset when I saw that Jonathan Taylor touchdown get called back. I have him in fantasy and I had an anytime touchdown score bet on with him. So seeing that come back kind of sucked. But just to kind of finish out some of the key games of the week, Bears pull it out against the Raiders. I honestly thought the Raiders were going to win that game watching it. Prior to the game, I would have told
Geno's
you that
awful.
Bears were going to – Geno is pretty bad. But I would have told you that the Bears are going to win that game by a touchdown, not by one. Steelers beat the Vikings 24-21. I don't think this solidifies anything for the Steelers. I think this solidifies stuff for the Vikings, honestly, that they are just not going to be good this year. J.J. McCarthy's bad. Carson Wentz isn't going to do anything for them. And then Giants, Chargers. What an upset. Okay, you lose Neighbors in the third quarter. I think they were leading the almost the entire game. I honestly bet the Chargers at halftime because I thought there was no way that the Chargers, this dominating offense and pretty solid defense so far this year, were going to lose to the Giants. But somehow, some way, I mean, I have no idea how the Chargers lose that game, but one thing I will say in that game is Quinn Johnson, clear wide receiver one for that team.
What a misspeak right there.
Yeah, I talked about this on like the last 3 podcasts about how he's been balling out in fantasy. But let's just talk about improvement from last year. I mean, talk about a guy that no one had faith in to catch the ball last year to overtaking Ladd McConkey as wide receiver one. Ladd is a great wide receiver. I don't know what's happening with him this year. I need to go watch a little bit more film of their games. I honestly haven't watched all of them. But I have no idea how he could have this big of a fall off. I don't understand what's happening there. Texans show out against the Titans. I don't think anyone saw this coming. I mean, the Titans don't have that great of an offense.
I saw that
coming. The Texans 26-0. Texans do not have the offensive line.
The Texans needed
26-0.
The Titans have zero pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is solid, so I understand holding them to 0, but putting up 26 points, I mean, good for them. Falcons, finally, Michael Penix figured out that Drake London is a top 5 wide receiver in the league, and he found the ball, gave Drake London the ball, and guess what? They win a game. Drake London almost 100 yards. Actually, he might have cleared 100 yards. So, finally, Michael Penix figured out what he needs to do to win games. I mean, we saw it last year when Michael Penix came in. he was averaging like 150 yards or 100 yards a game to Drake London last year, the 3 games that he played. So finally they figured it out. Eagles Bucks. Eagles hold on, win it 31-25. We'll get into that one a little bit more. Lions Browns 34-10. Lions absolutely dominating the Browns. I think that just goes to shows that there's more struggles for the Packers offense than people lead to believe. And then Patriots absolutely dominating the Panthers. They are the team that I had upsetting last week. Or I had the Panthers winning this game. Absolutely got destroyed. And then the Packers Cowboys. This is where we're going to stop, and we're going to move into a little bit more in depth, because holy crap. The Packers Cowboys ends in double overtime, just overtime at 40-40. Nobody saw. I couldn't tell you I saw the Cowboys tying the Packers 40-40, but something is not clicking right now with the Packers. Their defense. Last week we saw them hold the Browns to 10 points or whatever it was.
I think it was
13 points. But the Browns don't have a great offense. The Cowboys have a pretty decent offense in terms. Javonte Williams has been proving himself. CeeDee Lamb has been out. Turpin and Tolbert filling in strong.
Pickens has huge game.
Yeah, Pickens also had a great game, filling in as kind of as a wide receiver 1. I know after that game, there's been a lot of talks. Is Pickens a wide receiver 1? He could be skill-wise. I think that his problem is up here. Is why he could never be a wide receiver 1. That's always been his downfall.
That's why you are a wide receiver 1, is because you're a head case.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. AB, dude.
Yeah. Well, look what happened with AB. I mean, he was insane. And
one of the greatest wide receivers since 2010.
Yeah, in his last game of his NFL career, he took his shirt off and said, "I'm out."
Right. Who else is that memorable?
Probably Marshawn Lynch or
Marshawn's pretty memorable.
Richard Sherman.
I would argue AB is more memorable than Richard Sherman.
Oh yeah, 100%. But talking about guys that are memorable to me, those are the two guys.
Can I reference the game you were just saying too?
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Did you watch this game?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
I went to bed at halftime. So I thought the Packers were going to run away with this after watching the 2 Dobbs touchdowns in the first half. And I think I went to bed a few minutes before it actually hit halftime, and I know the Cowboys scored a touchdown late in the half. So, Cowboys defense still atrocious. I hate the 25-minute lead up that they did with Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones crap. It's a football game. Can we stop putting all this drama and real life stuff into it? I just want to watch guys hit each other. So that was the whole Mike is coming back to Dallas thing. Let's stop overhyping that. Players get traded all the time. And I get it was a huge contract, but I don't like how we try to make things bigger than they are. It's a football game in week 4 of the NFL football season. Micah did have a sack in this game, but the Packers defense finally showed weakness. Like you said, they lost last week, but they gave up 13 points, and most of that was off their own stupid turnovers and mistakes that they did offensively. It wasn't their defense making mistakes. But I had thought that this was going to happen because they have some pretty suspect corners that really don't have great statistics so far in their career, but had been playing well at the start of the season. I think this is a start of some teams realizing what the Packers are bad at and then exposing those things. So obviously they can make adjustments. They're still a pretty good team, but their offense wasn't the problem today. They had 40 points. It was fully their defense. So both teams' defenses need to do a little bit of a check in the mirror, figure out what it is they're doing wrong, and try to improve.
Yeah, and Micah Parsons' sack was very close to not being a sack. I don't know if you actually watched how he got his sack, but Dak scrambled, and he was 0.2 inches away from crossing the line of scrimmage, and Micah got him from behind. So more like a stop the run than a sack. But yeah, I mean, it was don't get me wrong, it was one of the most fun games to watch, especially at the end when they were just going back and forth. Coming into week 2, week 3, everyone was like, "Oh, Packers going to the Super Bowl, Packers Super Bowl team." Don't get me wrong, still a great team, still a very explosive team. They have guys that can make plays, but letting up 40 points to the Cowboys. They're good offense, but they're not a great offense.
Yeah.
With CeeDee Lamb out.
Wide receiver,
with the number 2 or 3 wide receiver in the league out, you have Pickens, Turpin, and Tolbert as their wide receivers. Again, like I said, Turpin's really stepped it up in that game, and he was catching a lot. Pickens, breakout game. But that was just, I just can't believe that the Packers let that happen. And I think that there should be some questions about whether or not they'll be able to hold up and kind of make it far. I definitely think they're still a Super Bowl team, but they're what, 2-1 now?
2-1-1, yeah.
So I think
I have a hard time thinking that ties are. Why do we still have ties in the NFL?
Yeah, why? I agree. I actually
just go to a second OT and then the next score wins.
Do you know when the last tie was in the NFL before this game?
Well, there was one last season, no?
No, 2022. In the regular season.
2022. Well, okay, you can only tie in the regular season.
Preseason you can tie.
Oh, okay. I don't like the preseason, so I don't pay attention to that. No, I don't know what the last tie was.
It was in 2022. I don't know who it was, but the last one was in 2022.
Okay. I feel like the Steelers played a tie with someone for some unknown reason, but all right.
Probably. It sounds like a Mike Tomlin thing to do.
You look that up real quick. What's the next game you want to get into? I'll dive us in here.
I wanted 3 other things I want to talk about. Bengals, the Ravens, Chiefs, and the Eagles, Bucks.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go into the easiest thing to comment on. Bengals are a dead team walking. I don't know. I'm going to make this comment. People might not like it. Burrow is still the traditional old pocket passer, which is kind of going obsolete in the NFL, and his body is not made to handle that kind of pressure, stress, everything. As we can tell, he gets injured every single season, whether it's minor or major. I still think he's an awesome quarterback, but he's kind of getting transitioned out of the league in terms of his play style. You have to be athletic. You have to be able to move outside of the pocket. Now, let's get Jameis, guys. I honestly don't know if the Bengals will win another football game this season. I haven't looked at their schedule. They'll probably win a couple more, but like the next 3 games are atrocious for them. They're just a dead team walking. Jamar's upset. T. Higgins is upset. The offensive line's terrible, and Joe Burrow, as good as he is, struggled against a O-line. What do you think Jake Browning's going to do? He's going to struggle even worse.
I mean, what do you think that
Bengals are dead?
Winston's going to do? I don't think that we're bringing it. While I would love to see it,
he'll at least chuck the ball around. Browning sucks.
I would love to see Winston start, but
he won't help him win. But it'll be an entertaining product.
I don't think that it's Jake Browning's fault. I don't think he's a good QB. I think he's a solid backup QB. But I in no way am putting blame on any of these losses on Jake Browning.
It's definitely
the Bengals defense that have been awful the last 3 years, and their O-line that's been awful. I think Joe Burrow is the most sacked QB the last 5 years or whatever the timeline is. It's really bad, and without Joe, you clearly saw them struggling with Joe Burrow first game or 2 of the season, and now with Jake Browning leading this offense is a major step back at QB. That's not going to help you in any way, and I don't think that bringing Winston in would do anything. I think that I don't know what the Bengals schedule looks like right now. I would have to pull it up. Actually, I'm going to do that right now because I have no idea if they win more than 1 or 2 more games.
That's exactly
the last tie was in 2022, the Commanders Giants tied 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so next week, let's see. Next week, Lions loss. Following week, Packers loss. Following week, Steelers. Division game.
Probably loss.
Is it
at Pittsburgh? It doesn't matter. It's a loss.
Then let's go after that. Let's just run through the rest of their season. So we got. Why is this taking me to 2024? No one cares about 2024. Jets loss. Bears loss. Steelers again loss. Patriots maybe. Ravens loss. Bills loss. Ravens loss. Dolphins maybe.
Cardinals. Yeah, you can't give them guaranteed wins unless Burrow comes back potentially. So
I'll even give them a guaranteed loss against the Browns. Their defense is good. Actually, the Cardinals' defense is pretty good too, so I'd probably give them a definitive
We didn't mention Dillon Gabriel is pretty much announced as starter for the Browns this coming weekend. So Flacco's
I should have brought that up. You're right. Yeah.
You're good.
And I love that.
I don't want to comment on that until I see it happen, but
I love that they're bringing in the Rook. All right, this is a team that is not gonna go far. They maybe a chance at playoffs, probably not, but maybe a chance at playoffs. So let the rookie get some snaps, get some rhythm going, and maybe you guys look good because they got Judkins now, who looks like he could be a star. He's they're 3 down back. He's catching the ball. He's averaging the last 2 games, I think 85, 90 yards a game. So he's going to be their starter. And I think that if you get him and Dillon Gabriel kind of having a connection, I think they need to bring in a little bit more of a stud at wide receiver for them to really be it. But they've got Harold Fannin at tight end with Njoku. So really, I think the only thing they're missing is really just a decent wide receiver. There's definitely some players that could look to trade for, maybe trying to go after like T. Higgins or somebody like that to pair with Jerry Jeudy or Cedric Tillman. I don't really know which one of them is better, to be honest. But I think that they could be a good team if they invest in a solid wide receiver.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. What do we got next?
All right, let's get into what looks like a downfall that we were not expecting. The Chiefs-Ravens.
Yeah.
Now the Ravens, this is another one that I think is heavy on coaches, but also injuries, right? The Ravens are missing basically their entire defense. I think that they had like 8 of their 11 were backups. So, and they just lost 2 more. I think Humphrey's out for the season, and they lost.
Oh, Humphrey's out for the year?
Yeah, something like.
What did he do? Matabike's out for the season, but we might have mentioned that before.
Maybe Humphrey. Oh, so Humphrey might be out for 2 or 3 weeks, and Matabike's out for the season. But they're just dropping like flies, and for some reason, the Ravens have always had the injury bug. I can't think of the last time I've seen a Ravens season where they haven't had players dropping like flies. But talk about play calling, right? You have Derrick Henry, who in the beginning of the game, he had, I think, a couple runs for like 10, 12 yards, and then they just didn't give him the ball the rest of the game. I don't understand what their play calling was. I don't know why they were not giving Derrick Henry the ball when he could clearly run over the Chiefs' defensive line. I mean, they did have Chris Jones back, but I don't understand their play calling at all. I know that they want to get the wide receiver, the passing game going. They do have Flowers. They've got Bateman, and now they have Hopkins as well. But Hopkins, I mean, he can be a deep ball threat, and he's really a touchdown guy. But to get there, you need to get Derrick Henry going. I mean, at some point, the Chiefs just gave up on trying to stop the rush because they weren't rushing the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you with them going away from the rush. I think that the Chiefs somehow, I can't say somehow, they know exactly how to play the Ravens style, and it just happens to conflict because the one team the Ravens can never beat is the Kansas City Chiefs. They had an answer for every play call that Baltimore had for the most part. Lamar, behind one of the worst offensive lines he's ever had in his career, was running for his life because Spagnuolo was literally bringing pressure every freaking play. So Lamar running for his life, he made some stupid decisions because he's not used to being under that much pressure. He's not used to a defense being that athletic typically, and he just was making a mess. I'm not even convinced he's hurt. Personally, I think he was just playing that bad, and he just wanted to take a break because he knew it was only going to get worse and it was going to ruin his MVP stock. I truly think some players will do that if the game is going that poorly in their direction. But the Chiefs came out with a wonderful game plan. They executed it to perfection, and the Ravens couldn't adjust to that game plan. So Chiefs are back on. They are now 2-2. Baltimore falls to 1-3. I think Baltimore is still a talented enough team where they will be honestly, I'll say it right at this point. They're going to be a fringe playoff team at this point. That's a horrendous start. And with all the injuries, like they're still good enough to get a playoff spot, but I don't think they're a lock to win the division. I don't think they're a lock to get the top wildcard spot. So like they need to get a little bit of health back in their system.
Yeah, they need their defense to come back. And I don't have all the return times for some of their defense, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they were missing. It was backups of their entire defensive line. So they need to bring that back, and I think that there needs to be an adjustment and some play calling. I don't know why they took away leading with the rush. I mean, you have Derrick Henry and Lamar. RPOs every play should be their play calling. Literally, the Penn State offense is what they should be running. But yeah, I think that you're right. I mean, the Chiefs, their coach Andy Reid is one of the best coaches of all time. He knows how to exactly to read every team they're going up against and really understand what their offense is going to be looking like, especially the Ravens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the end of that, we need to see some more from the Ravens. Offensively, we need to see some other defensive players come back healthy because I think that they can still have a solid defensive team when they're healthy. And that's just really been their downfall. But you're right. I don't think they're a lock to win their division. I think the Steelers are going to put up a fight with them, and they always struggle against the Steelers whenever they play them. So they're really going to need pull something out for them to beat the Steelers.
Yeah, no, I'm full on board with everything you just said. So what we going Eagles game last?
Eagles game last, then we'll move into some fantasy talk. I don't think there's a ton to talk about the Eagles Bucks game. I just wanted to kind of bring it up because I'm an Eagles fan and I will always talk about them. But another blocked punt for a touchdown from the Eagles. Have no idea what's going on this year with blocked punts and field goals, but it's just insane.
It's crazy, dude.
We had the Bucks number the entire first half. The only offense that the Bucks were getting really all game were big plays. We missed two. Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship kind of really messed one up on Ibuka. Just misread him. Ibuka wasn't even at the read there. Ibuka just got open, and Baker found him. And then they had another.
That was a nice pass, dude. That split. That split was like insane. Crazy. Yeah.
And then they had another long pass to. It wasn't Ibuka again. Who was it? Was it? It wasn't Shepard.
No, it was Bucky. It was like a little wheel route.
Oh, Bucky. Yeah, you're right, Bucky.
He's also hurt right now. He might be out for a few weeks.
Bucky is?
Yeah, Bucky's hurt. They said he was getting an MRI yesterday. I didn't keep up with it today, so I don't know. But
yeah, so Eagles offense looked okay. In the first half, looked atrocious in the second half. Something needs to happen with the play calling. I know A.J. Brown has been seen sending some cryptic messages out there. You know, if you're not liked or you're not wanted, like just slowly drift away. All right, listen, dude. You're on one of the best teams in the league.
You're 4-0.
Relax. You're 4-0. We tried to force the ball to A.J. Brown on some crap calls, some awful calls that just looked like they were just trying to do it just to get A.J. Brown the ball for him to stop complaining. I don't know if he was actually complaining or not, but it just felt like we were trying to force feed him, and it was not working at all. When I don't know what happened, we went from the first half of the Rams game looking like crap to the second half looking great to the first half of the Bucks game looking great to the second half of the Bucks game looking bad. If we can't find consistency, we're not winning any. Like, we're not going to win the big games this year. And we do have some tough games going down the line. I mean, we're going to play the Cowboys again, who clearly their offense is clicking right now. Their defense isn't that great, but as you saw in our first game against them, we couldn't put up that many points against them. So I think that something needs to happen with the Eagles. But one thing I will say is Chris Godwin's back. He's definitely going to be slow into it, but he's looking decent again. And I think it's going to be Ibuka and Godwin kind of leading the way. I think Ibuka stays as the wide receiver one unless Godwin just returns to his God tier level of what he was last year. And they can create insane explosive plays. I mean, the Bucs offense is very good. Baker Mayfield's revival in Tampa has been a beautiful thing to see. And I'm glad he ended up there. He's one of my favorite QBs in the league. And then also, big shout out Chase McLaughlin. 65-yard field goal was beautiful. 1 yard off of the 1 yard off of the record that I think Tucker still holds.
Yep, Tucker held. Yeah.
But I will say one play that I loved that I've been asking the Eagles to run because I have their phone number. I just call them every other day. You know,
fake tush push hand off to Barkley.
the fake tush push. We ran it once last year and never again,
Yep.
and then we did it again this year, and it works. I understand we don't run it more often because then people will just kind of see it coming, but I think we can run it more than we do. I love how it worked. I love the play scheme. I think there's a multitude of different things that you could do. You could have Goddard break out to the right. You can have Saquon break out to the left. There's a lot of things that you can do with this play that I think could really work out well, and I would love to see them more doing it.
The Eagles' second half, and I don't want to get too much into it because we still have a few things to get through. The Eagles' second half, and we had talked about a little bit that Rams' first half, it kind of looks like the Penn State offense a little bit, where it just doesn't look like the OC and the talent that they have on that side of the football really match up. I feel like once Sirianni's taken control of the offense and done what he's done in past seasons, like I don't think Kellen Moore needed that much help. But when Sirianni takes a hold of this team, they make plays. And I don't think this OC is the answer for them. I think their offense has taken a big step back from where they were last year. And it does remind me of Penn State in a sense of just not playing the right system for who you have. And sometimes that happens, and that's why you get a new OC. I think you need to fit a coach around your talent. I don't think you get a coach and then try to fit your talent around it unless you have a tremendous coach that you know is going to be there for 15 to 20 years. So, Hunter, you want to get a little bit more fantasy route here? Or
yeah, let me finish off something real quick on the Eagles here. 2 insane stats that they have so far. 1, they were held to -1 yards of offense in that second half. -1.
That's bad.
That's awful. And they are perfect in the red zone this year. So one thing off of that, a couple of our touchdowns this year have come off of turnovers in the opponent's 20 with basically the red zone. So our defense, while they have let up a big points against the Rams, have really been showing out, and I think are the reason why we are still undefeated this year. Also, the only other team of the Bills that are undefeated. And I think that our special teams and our defense are the only reason that we are winning games and not getting blown out, because the Bucs normally have our number. I won't lie, they normally are insanely good against us. I thought we were going to absolutely blow them out of the water in the first half, and then we come back and have that second half. But let's move on from them, and let's get into some fantasy studs and duds. All right, so
I'm excited to hear this one.
We did 5 last week. We'll do 5 this week, or we'll do 4 of each this week. Again, these aren't just the complete top dogs numbers. Some are just guys that scored well that maybe haven't been doing that well, and then the duds are just duds. One guy that I've been waiting to say his name, I knew would eventually happen this season, Drake London. Finally figured out, him and Michael Penix finally found some rhythm together. He put up close to 100 yards, might have cleared it, and a touchdown. Oh, Drake London definitely making the list this week, just simply because, I mean, he put up 23 points this week, so nothing like crazy insane. There were some guys that scored higher than him, but I threw him on this list because he has not been doing that great this year, averaging probably like 10 to 12 points a week. Second guy on this list, Dak Prescott. 4 touchdowns, I think over 300 yards in the air, and I believe he had a rushing touchdown, did he not? I believe he had a rushing touchdown in that game. So Dak Prescott put up great numbers. Third guy on this list I'm going to give to Josh Jacobs, who also put up good numbers in that game. 2 rushing touchdowns, 80 to 90 rushing yards. And then also receiving yards. I think he put up about 70 receiving yards. Josh Jacobs really put up some numbers. And then this last one could shock some people. Lions defense put up like 27 points this week. I think they had 3 or 4 turnovers. They put up 23 to 25 points this week. So if you had the Lions defense, I'm sure you were a very happy person after that game against the Browns. Now let's talk about them duds. All right, so this week we had some big duds this week. Ladd McConkey, we brought up his name when we talked about the Chargers. He is no longer the wide receiver 1 anymore on the Chargers. That has clearly gone to Quentin Johnson. I need to watch some film to kind of see what's happening there. I don't know if it's his routes, if it's the play calling, if he's just not looking great. Second guy, think he was on this list last week. He's on this list again. Jamar Chase. We told you, sell. Anyone that you have on the Bengals offense.
Yes, sell the Bengals.
Every week their stock goes down. Like I said, if you have someone that just doesn't really pay too much attention to fantasy football that you can trade with, that'll just see the name Jamar Chase, get much as you can for him, but every week you hold on is another week that their stock is going down. Talked about in the Ravens game, Derrick Henry on this list only put up 7 points. I think he had like 30 yards. He had a couple catches. The Ravens just were not running the right play schemes for Derrick Henry. They weren't giving him the ball for whatever reason. I would not sell Derrick Henry. He's still going to put up numbers. Hold on to that man. And then A.J. Brown. We were just talking about him in the Eagles game. He's been complaining about not getting targets. Got targets in the game. They felt force-fed, and it just didn't work out for him. I think he had one catch for like 8 yards, put up like 2 points maybe. He had more targets than he did yards. Just think about that for a second. He had more targets than he did yards.
Crazy.
That's insane. That might be a first. I'd love for someone to look up that stat of. It had to be like 8 or more targets though, because you can't have like 2 targets in a man that had like 1 yard. So those are my fantasy studs and duds for the week. Then I'm going to give you my ad of the week. A man of his emergence, Darren Waller. If you are struggling at tight ends, maybe you've got George Kittle, although he's coming back and she'll be back in 2 weeks. Or you maybe liked Colston Loveland in the beginning of the year and tight ends were nice and kind of subtle. Or you got one of the Steelers tight ends. Go grab Darren Waller. While this could have been kind of a little bit of a fluke of the game, you want to hold on to it and see what happens. I'd probably start him. He is clearly going to be a red zone guy for Tua. Tua's needed someone with height like that, and especially with Tyreek Hill now out, I think that Darren Waller is going to really step up with them. So I'll go and add Darren Waller. He's probably like 1% on ESPN and Yahoo, so go add him to your team. He's going to be a great addition for you.
I'll give mine as well, although this is Hunter's segment. It's a guy I believed in since the beginning of the season. I wish I had him in Dynasty, but I didn't know how taxi squads worked, and just say that's bit me in the butt a little bit. Woody Marks, he has emerged as the starting running back for the Houston Texans. I want to say, and Hunter, I don't know if you saw this. I had traded away T. Higgins last week.
I didn't. Who'd you trade him to?
So before I saw that the Bengals had a bad game without Burrow, obviously, but before all of their value completely diminished, where it was like T. Higgins had a touchdown the game before, and then he had one bad week, I was like, okay, got to squeeze some value out of him. I traded him and Nick Chubb and he hasn't had a great time for Jacoby Myers because he's a really good PPR guy. Now, I had that with the mindset of that cleared up a roster spot because I saw the line in the sand. Woody Marks had started getting more touches. So I basically traded Nick Chubb for Nick Chubb's replacement and T. Higgins for Jacoby Myers straight up.
You really succeeded in that trade. I will say you definitely succeeded heavily in that trade.
And then, have you traded all yet this year? Because I got one more I wanted to say.
Have I traded? So I did trade this year, and I think that I turned out pretty great. Let me actually pull up that trade right now.
Right. I got my one before you say. I traded away Derrick Henry because of the offensive line, and I just got a myriad of like flex players. I got Debo, DeAndre Swift, and Chuba Hubbard, all for Derrick Henry because I needed a little bit more of some, let's just say, some guys on my roster. I had him and McCaffrey, so I thought I had some room to play around with some slightly less good running backs, and I got some good flex guys out of it. So I was happy.
Who'd you get? Wait, Derrick Henry for?
It was
DeAndre
Swift. I just said Debo.
I don't love the running, but I love Chuba, and I love Debo. Not huge on Swift, but I'll tell you my one trade that I've made this year that's worked out so far so well for me. Kyron Williams and Keon Coleman, I received, and I traded away Chase Brown and Terry McLaurin.
Okay. Well, Terry's been hurt and Chase has been terrible. So I got to be real. I heard your first two and I was like, oh, that hasn't been great. And then I'm like, wait, for what you got it for, very good.
Yeah, no, Kyron didn't put up a great week. He said 77 yards, but he did have a fumble and he didn't really get anything in the catching game. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the trade.
Kyron is the type of guy that he's actually starting to lose some touches. I don't think he'll lose his starting role, but Corum's eating into his workload a bit more than he was last season. So that's something to watch. Kyron also fumbles the football. So something he's not great at is holding on. All right. Just because we're running pretty late into this podcast, I want to get us into our last segment for the day, which is going to be our best bet and underdogs. Typically in our NFL segments, we'll maybe talk about a couple of matchups for the coming week, but we'll just do the recap after that stuff's done. All right. So recap of our last 2 weeks. We did not start this in week 1. We started it, this is week 5 of the NFL season. So we started this in week 3. Right now, Hunter is in the lead, up 0.7 units. This past week, he did lose his money line bet, his underdog of the Carolina Panthers, but he hit his over in the Eagles-Buccaneers game. I had a small lead at that last week. I lost both my bets. Colts money line fell through. Unfortunately, that was kind of a heartbreaker, being a fan and then losing that on this podcast. And then Brock Bowers did not find the end zone. Gino was just throwing balls up for grabs the entire game. Genty did show out, though, for the first time all season. And Phil is down 2.1 units. We let Phil double up on the Buccaneers last week, and although maybe they should have covered there late in that game, they did not, and then they also lost outright. So we're going into our week 5 best bets. I'm going to say Phil's first. He has the Broncos money line, once again picking against the Eagles. So he's staying with the trend. They probably have to lose a game eventually, so maybe it'll pay off for him. I am going to be taking the Cleveland Browns here this week. Love the you can pick the same team, man. I like the Browns
as well.
Yeah, I think they're actually in a good spot. They're trying out a new quarterback. The defense is really darn good. And just this line is disrespectful to them for how good their defense has been playing. They'll have a chance to win this ball game. Their defense will keep them into it. We'll see what Dylan Gabriel can do. And I'll say my best bet, and then you tell me what yours is. I'm going with an anytime touchdown score again this week. The Niners defense is banged up really badly, and Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver in the NFL currently. Give me Puka anytime touchdown. It's only a plus 100 right now, but I like those odds. He has been the guy, his little quick slant step inside. He's been the guy at the goal line this season. So give me a Puka anytime touchdown, plus 100. I also need to check. The Browns I saw was plus 180. I have to get the line on Broncos for Phil real quick, but Hunter, share yours while we're doing that.
Browns are plus 180. I'm just going to stick with over and unders kind of throughout the year. That's going to be what I'm going with. I'm taking another over here. I think this is a little bit of a disrespectful line. I'm taking the over in the Ravens-Texans game at 39.5. I think that's actually a very disrespectful line set for a Ravens offense that had one down week. I mean, look at their first 2 weeks against, look at the Bills game. And the Texans offense just proved that against a bad defense, they can do well. And the Ravens defense is completely injured right now. So I think that's a very disrespectful line, and I'm hammering that over. Hammering it at 39.5.
All right, so
at minus
we got
39.5.
Yeah, so you got minus 115 there, so not the best juice, but it's not like it's going to make that big of a difference. So I did get Phil's. The official number that we will have is his Lions game over 49.5 is at minus 110. Broncos money line's at plus 164. Once again, we'll keep track of units. I know we're just doing record on our college picks, but we'll be doing that. Hunter, I'm just going to ask you right now, how are we looking on merch right now? How are we looking? Just let people know.
We're looking like it's going to come in eventually. I've never worked with this team before, so they haven't been on schedule like they said they would be. I'm not going to shout them out. I don't want to disrespect the company like that.
I'll say CI, baby. CI, come on.
CI?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's the initials of the company.
Oh, Yeah, it is. I was like, what are you saying, CI?
I want a sponsorship, CI. Come on. Help us out.
I want to come back real quick before we end it. Does Phil think that the Lions are putting up 50 points, 45 points? Because there's no way this over hits from the Bengals are not helping in this over. So I think that
I think they could score 50.
The Lions could probably put up 50 points.
They can score 50.
I take it back. They could probably put up 50 against the Bengals defense.
Yeah.
But, all right, guys, we've held you guys on for a pretty long time. I know when we do these dual podcast episodes where it's college and NFL, we kind of go a little bit longer. Yeah. We've missed having Phil on. He's a little bit of a sick man. He's going to feel better soon, and he'll be back on with us. We'll have the full fellas back. But I appreciate you guys all listening. Reach out to us. Let us know what you want to hear. Give us a follow on social media. I'm out.
Yeah, and everything that Hunter just said, please, if you're listening to this, follow us on social media. Listen to this podcast. I know we have 38 followers of us on Spotify. You got to be listening every single week, guys. Keep up to date. Check us out on Instagram. We're getting a couple thousand views on some of these shorts that we got going on. It's going awesome. And our TikTok is doing really well right now as well. We pretty much 3,000%ed our most popular TikTok.
As you guys can tell, Noah's very humble.
Hey, this is humble right now. Hey, I am happy with the progress we've made. If that means that we have 400 views on something on TikTok when we had a max of 6, and then we had 2,000 on one of our first shorts that we ever released on Instagram, and all of them are going 700, 800 views. We're getting tons of profile hits. Guys, follow us on them. We're going to keep giving out content. We got some awesome videos from the whiteout this weekend that we will continue to post. Keep up to date, all right? We're always going to be releasing stuff for you guys. We know we're your favorite podcasters, all right? There's the less humble side of me. We're your favorite football podcasters, baby.
Peace out, guys.